All right, I'd like to call to order the City Attorney Evaluation and Salary Review Committee. It is a little past 4, so we're running a little behind. I would ask the clerk to note attendance for the record. And Eric, do we have anyone in the waiting room waiting to make public comments?
We have no one in the waiting room currently, Vice Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. I understand that Commissioner Reynolds is having some technical difficulties and we expect to see her pop in soon. So while we're waiting for her, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from February 18 of 2022. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lance,
Support.
support by Commissioner Morris. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we will move on to the committee discussion portion of our agenda. I would like to just point out that as an advisory body, we are making a recommendation to the city commission. We are not setting a process in place, and obviously this process could change as we move forward and other commissioners weigh in. Maybe we'll start, maybe Jill would like to kick us off a little bit. So you are here through the 31st of July, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. What are thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
Is that for me or the members of the committee?
Well, we'll start with you because we're talking about your position.
Okay. So the motion by the commission that was approved the other day added a charge to this committee because it seemed to make sense to recommend a process for hiring or for replacing the city attorney position after I retire. And so this hasn't been done for quite a while because there have been interims that that's kind of how that process followed. But this, because this is one of the two positions that's hired by the city commission, the only two positions, city manager and the city attorney, this process will have to comply with the Open Meetings Act. And so, you know, there's a couple of ways you could go. HR has quite capable and talented folks there that regularly recruit and hire employees. And so they could, I know the HR director has put together a proposed job description because one didn't exist before this, that I did look over at her request and made some recommendations to make sure it's consistent with what the city of Battle Creek's responsibilities are for the city attorney. So that position could be posted as we do normal positions. Let the proposed job description does contain some minimum qualifications. And so they could do that, go through their normal screening process, maybe give a time frame as to how long you'd like to see if that process works, in the interest of trying to save the city money from having to hire a search firm, and then see if HR believes that they have qualified candidates that meet that description through a screening process based on a legal description, or excuse me, a job description that's been approved by the city commission. In the meantime, I should say the other option is to hire a search firm, which would be done with an RFP, or request for proposals. And that can be put out. That's something that regularly the purchasing department does. And then hire a search firm that would do that would do what HR does, but kind of on a bigger scale of really searching, although HR does also reach out to potential qualified candidates that'll look that way. So, you would be here doing a few things. Whether it's through a search firm or whether it's through HR, there still should be a job description. So I would say that's one thing, is to look over the job description and see if you recommend that to be approved by the city commission, or if you want any tweaks to it. And then to set out, what is the process? Do you want to just go through HR and let them see what they can do? Do you want to just go with an RFP? Or do you maybe want to kind of run a dual process in the sake of time? I mean, my contract only requires I give 30 days notice, but I gave more than that to give you time to find somebody. Or you could potentially run a, kind of a parallel process. Let HR start, recommend they be given a certain amount of time. Let's see what candidates we might get in a window of time. And if HR indicates that they're not getting, a reasonable pool of candidates, maybe you even want to say a certain number that they've screened to be adequate. And I would also say that the search firms, they can do the same thing. They can do that screening as well. I'm trying to remember how many applicants we got during the city manager process when Rebecca was hired. I think there were well in excess of 15. So of course there has to be some screening. So anyway, those are my suggestions, and that if HR indicates that they don't feel like they got a good pool, or a certain number that the commission wanted to see, then it could just roll over to the search firm process. If HR feels that they have, some good qualified candidates, then the city commission would need to do interviews in an open meeting. So that's, I'll let you move forward from there. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Jill. So it sounds like we need to, regardless of what we do, we need to approve the job description.
Review and recommend approval.
Correct. I'm sorry. Yes, because everything that we do at this level will need approval by the full commission. So, but we would need to kind of put that forward to the commission if we like what Michelle and Jill had put together. And my apologies, I got this from Michelle this morning and did not realize that she hadn't also shared it with the rest of the committee. So I know that Rebecca is able to share her screen if we want to talk about kind of what it is that we're looking for in a city attorney. And then, so if we do that first and then talk about process, are you guys okay with that?
Oh, there it is. Okay. I think that's a good idea, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. So
I'm in agreement. I'm just reading the job summary and qualifications.
thank you, Commissioner Reynolds.
I think you can present this. I think you can present this to the commission.
Okay.
Sorry, Carla, cut you off.
No, you're fine. No, Jim, you're fine. I was just kind of looking through there. Just wanted to ask Jill though. Jill, are you okay with the way this reads?
Yes, I actually worked with Michelle this morning
On this?
going through it. And yeah,
Okay.
and I had suggested that we plug in a number of years for actually being licensed as an attorney. Doesn't matter if doesn't have to have been Michigan,
Okay.
but you know, my recommendation, having done this job, and I think it would be different certainly for an assistant, but for the city attorney, I do recommend that they have 10 years experience. And then the language is that 5 should be in municipal law work, wouldn't have to be because it could be an equivalent combination of training and related experience. So just kind of giving some
Sure. I'm okay with this.
Okay. Commissioner Morris?
Sorry, I was just taking notes, but I agree with you all. I think we should go ahead and go forward with this to the commission.
Okay. All right. So I think we have a
Quorum?
job outline or a job description. Thank you. Sorry. A job description that we can present as at least a starting point, and we can get input from other commissioners. But I think that I think it encompasses what we're looking for. You know, it references the experience that I think is needed to fill that position. And so I think that this is a good place for us to start having those conversations. And then as for moving forward, I like the city attorney's, I like her proposal that it kind of be a two-pronged approach with starting the process internally, having it posted in all of the places that we'd normally post a position like this, and seeing what sort of candidates that we get, while at the same time moving forward with an RFP and with the thought that we may need some assistance in attracting candidates. But if we are able to find them on our own, then that saves us the cost of having to run a search, and it saves, I mean, it would allow us to get that person in place that much sooner and have some time with Jill to shadow a bit, get some information about how the city attorney's office functions, get up to speed on the projects that she's working on, that kind of stuff.
I'm okay with that proposal as well.
Okay.
if I might just add for those that are watching, an RFP, that's a request for proposal. It's actually a process that's set out in our ordinance, and it says, here's what we're looking for. What would you propose and how much would you charge us, search firms, to undertake this chore? And then they submit those things, and purchasing always puts together a committee of relevant city employees that would get together, and there's a process to evaluate and then make a recommendation. And then that recommendation would actually come to the city commission to, well, depending on how much it costs. If it's over 50,000, then it's going to come to the city commission. If not, then it wouldn't. So I just wanted to provide that background in our RFP.
Thank you. Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Lance.
I really like the idea suggested of the two-pronged approach, and I do think that it's going to be extremely necessary for whoever is in this position to shadow Jill for a little bit and get some background. I know that what makes her so great at her job is how well she does it and how well she knows how to do it. So this is going to be an adjustment, and I think that her experience and the value of her sharing her experience is really important.
Thank you. Commissioner
Thank you.
Lance.
I think two-pronged approach seems the right approach right now.
So then, I guess I'll defer to the city manager. So what is I believe, I mean, the way that I had kind of envisioned this was that we would have a resolution on the April 2nd agenda that would say, you know, we're recommending this type of approach. We're gonna post it ourselves. Here's a job description that we're going to use. And so here's a job description that we as a city are going to use, and then we're going to also seek a request for proposal from an outside firm that might be able to help us search if we're not able to be, if we're not successful, excuse me, in doing it ourselves. Do you, I know one of the two of your offices would prepare that.
I was planning to put together a resolution after this meeting is done. And yes, I would, number one, here's the job description that's recommended, approve that, and to approve a two-pronged process. I think what would be helpful is for you to talk about a recommended timeline of how long do you want to leave it open, and allowing HR to follow its normal screening process for those applicants that meet the minimum qualifications and the desired characteristics. And I don't know, maybe since Michelle is with us here, Michelle Hall, the HR director, maybe she could suggest what might be a reasonable timeline.
Michelle?
Good afternoon. I will just share a little bit of excitement that this will be the first time I've supported a search for a city attorney. So I would love to say that, you know, estimated time of 30 to 60 days would be reasonable, but I really don't know what the market looks like for city attorneys. I think that the sooner we could get a role posted via our new processes with NeoGov, the better we have of getting some candidates that may be interested. Certainly, if the commission decides to have a dual process, I believe it'd be beneficial to shut off the internal process if we start the external process, because, you know, and you have some candidates that may be confused about applying online directly through our website versus being contacted by a search firm. I think that we would know probably within 7, 10 to 14 days whether or not the posting's gaining any traction out there with interested candidates. And I can certainly keep the commission or this committee updated on how many candidates we're receiving on a daily basis.
So can I ask a question? With respect to the job qualifications, we have that. What are we requesting candidates submit that are qualified?
Typically, we ask for a resume.
Anything else?
There's an opportunity for them to attach any other credentials, certifications, copies of degrees, etc. When we do seek to vet those candidates with their background, we will do checks on educational achievements.
All right, so when we open up for attorney positions, we often ask for writing samples. We ask for 5 cases that they've been a part of, as well as so we know who their opposing counsel is for background checks. We like to speak to actually opposing counsel as references in addition to their own references. I think that would be important when you're looking for an attorney position.
Those are all good recommendations, Commissioner.
I might be able to add something in here. I am whatever you want to call it, control freak. I usually, when I'm doing the hiring for attorneys, I'll get on Pacer and look for briefs that have been filed. I do my own search. I look on the State Bar. I look to see if there's been any discipline proceedings. I look to confirm how long they have been licensed with the State Bar. And so HR, when I do hiring for attorneys, I'm sorry. I have them send me everything and then I do. And if that's something that you would like me to do, because it's kind of hard for HR to do that, when none of them are attorneys. So,
Well, and they don't
You
even
know-
have access to some things like Pacer and some things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I would be, happy to help out with that. And so I think that it's, to move forward with the RFP process, because that'll take some time. The committee has to get together, see who it is that we're evaluating that we recommend. And then, and maybe you just want to give an outside date, like if HR doesn't feel like they have an adequate pool of, if they feel like that a search firm could come up with some additional or better options or something, some way to say that by a certain date, then to go ahead and move forward with an RFP. And certainly to let people know that from the start, that if you want to apply to the city for this position, you need to do that soon, because otherwise, it's really going to go over to the hands of a search firm.
So if we gave HR a date of April 19th, that would be approximately 2.5 weeks after our commission meeting on the 2nd. Then if we had an RFP going out on the 3rd, that would give those firms basically that same 2.5 weeks to come up with a proposal that would say, like this is how we would go about helping you find a new city attorney. And I'm not sure exactly how the process works, but that would give everybody about 2.5 weeks. And then if Jill will work with HR and Commissioner Lance, you may have some other, some things specific that you would like to include. But the more that we can include in the original posting, so when you're applying, we expect X, Y, and Z, so that it cuts down on some of the back and forth and, oh, now we need these other 5 things from you. Does that?
So I think I would suggest the posting would require some writing samples, because I can get the writing samples that are in federal court, but I'm not as likely to be able to get writing samples on my own that have been filed in state court. So I would suggest that we require that writing samples be submitted. Maybe you want to have some references that they submit, professional references.
Okay.
Vice Mayor, if I could, please, I
Yes.
think addressing Commissioner Morris's comments about trying to see if we can't get someone in place based on the Tuesday kind of recommendation or resolution of the commission to move forward with the process. Purchasing put an RFP out on Friday, because what's going to happen is the time frame. And so we'll need to adjust the time frame for what you just said. Wait until after the 19th. I think what she was trying to do is get things in by April 5th. Do you know what I mean? Because if we don't, anyway, we will adjust what's out there, because I'm looking at what's out there right now. It was just issued late Friday. We can pull it down with new dates. I think she wants to submit a job description, but I think the commission directed to move forward with kind of probably both. And so we issued that, but it can come down, or we can alter the dates. Because what's going to happen is potential search firms are going to start asking, what are you going to do? What do we need to submit? Where is it going to go? So full transparency.
And depending on what dollar figures are in RFPs, we may not need to have a resolution to approve it.
So
Michelle?
May I ask a question? Given what Jill just mentioned, I think one thing for this committee and the city commission also to consider is what the salary range will be. That's an important piece when we post for this role, is to have that range. And I'm not sure if the committee has thought about that.
Oh. No, you're right. I mean, that's something that you certainly are looking at when you're applying for a position. So hold that thought. I think Rebecca, I think we need to pull the RFP down and make sure that we are 4 of 9.
Yep.
And make sure that there is enough support from the rest of the commission that this is the way that they want to move forward. And there may be some commissioners that have some very different ideas. And I want to be respectful of those as well. Going back to Michelle's question, I think,
Michelle, if I might, Michelle, are you able to score this position?
I can certainly after this meeting. Would you like me to do that?
You probably just get a range, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
I would look for a range.
So the resolution, we could just, provide as background information how HR scores it. So that we can have a resolution on Tuesday and the commission could then, based on that information, set the salary range.
Sounds good to me.
okay,
I'm okay with that as well.
all right. Commissioner
Just to
Moore,
be,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Commissioner Morris, please.
No. Yes, that's all I was gonna say was, yes, I agree with that.
I just wanted to clarify, when we talk about scoring, all of the positions at the city have a
Mhm.
classification, and it starts with scoring the job description. That gives us that range that Commissioner Lance was talking about, just so you know that that's very consistent with what we have for all positions.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Is there anything else? So Rebecca or Jill or some combination of your two offices will come up with the resolution that we will see on the agenda for next week.
Yeah, either I will head that up or, I mean, I'll probably put something together. I'll certainly be in touch with Rebecca and with Michelle. So, to clarify, are we, the thoughts about the 19th of April, I'm not completely clear about that. Is that enough time?
So that would be,
Because the job
Our
wouldn't be
meeting-
posted until after the
Third.
meeting on the 2nd, right, on the
Correct.
3rd, if the commission approves that route.
correct. So that would give potential applicants, and I think, it is no longer, I mean, everybody knows that you're retiring and that there will be a vacancy. And so regardless, even if they didn't, I think that gives them 2.5 weeks. I mean, I would assume that is enough time to pull together writing samples, get your references in order, update your resume, and get all of that submitted through, I'm assuming there's some sort of a portal on the city's website that
Yep.
they can submit through. So to the two attorneys on this meeting, I mean, is that accurate? Is that adequate? I don't know a whole lot about attorney resumes and job searches for attorneys.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at just pure time, I mean, I guess we'll have a better picture of how attractive the job is if you use such a a short time frame. I mean, we've had jobs out there for months offering them, and we maybe had 2 or 3 bites. So I just think if you want to try it, go ahead with a shorter date and see what happens, because if we don't get enough qualified candidates or the pool isn't large enough, we're obviously going to have to extend it or make our decision on the search committee, you know, on the group that would do the RFP.
So then would
And
you,
oftentimes the posting just says, posted until filled. Do you know what I mean? But if you want to give a date range, we've done that as well.
I'm fine with not having an end date, but I mean, I want them, I want potential applicants to know that, as Commissioner Morris pointed out, I mean, this is not a job that you're just going to walk into and pick up where Jill leaves off. I mean, there's going to be a learning curve, because I think, you know, being a city attorney is different than what Commissioner Lance does in private practice. Different subject matter, different. It just, I think, is probably a little different. And we want to make sure that there's as much time as possible to get that filled. So
I could say too, posted until filled, first review of applicants in 2 weeks. To your point, let's it just as an option, a language option, knowing that Commissioner Lance is right. It's not the easiest. We're not going to get like 15 apply in the first 2 weeks. So just being as specific as we can, but know that it's a process.
So
And
then if,
I think that's a good suggestion to say first review will be April 19th or whatever date.
starting the
you're
week of the April
suggesting.
22nd, however that would be phrased.
Yeah. Yeah,
As-
and you know, presumably there's gonna be press releases put out, and people are gonna get a hold of this, and so, you know, they're gonna know. I just put a link that here's my personal news on the MAMA listserv. So people are certainly, there's got to be people that potential candidates that have that in their mind and they're going to be looking. And so once the commission makes its decision on Tuesday night, if that's if they agree with the suggestions, the recommendations, then I'll certainly put something out again on the listserv. And I'm sure MML will put something out. And so I think that'll kind of help.
And depending on how far reaching you want to go, you could even contact the Kalamazoo Bar Association, the Branch County Bar Association, the Berry County Bar Association, the Calhoun County Bar Association, you know, just kind of more the adjacent counties. And they probably would send an email blast out to the members, letting them know that there is a potential position available as well.
Yeah.
So
for
then,
sorry.
go ahead.
For clarification, we do typically ask if there is a budget for external posting boards. We do have a lot of boards that we have access to. And with our new NeoGov system, it will get swept up into the majority of the posting boards. But if there are specifics like MAMA or MML, I would just look for some guidance on where specifically you would like that position to be posted.
I have that, Michelle. The budget is in the city commission's budget, so you and I can talk about that.
Okay.
And we will have our the government law section. I sit on that council. We will have our meeting April 6th, because we meet the first Saturday of the month. So I certainly will put it out there. And the government law section of the state bar has I can't remember the number. It's increased substantially, but they have a lot of members now, and so the word will get out that way. And then as I said, I'll put it on the listserv as well.
So would it be more appropriate to extend, like, through, instead of the 19th through the 26th, with initial reviews starting the week of April 29th? I'm looking at a calendar, so I
I think that if we did initial reviews through April 21st, that's going to give a good indication if people are interested.
Okay.
And that gives 3 weekends for individuals to apply. One of them being a spring break weekend.
Okay. All right, is there anything else that we're missing? Rebecca, Jill, Michelle?
Nope, I don't think so.
Covered all the bases. All right. Commissioner Reynolds, anything else to add?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Morris?
No, thank you.
Commissioner
I
Lamb?
do have,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I yield my time.
Thank you. So I would just add before we wind up here that you'll notice from the approval of minutes that the last time I had a review was 2 years and a month ago. And so certainly, you know, I would like that. It should be done. My contract says every year, but I know a resolution was done, but I that is something that's in my contract. And it looks back at my performance over the last 2 years. And so, you know, two-pronged. Number one, I'm entitled to have that done. And number two, I think that's something that potential candidates are going to be looking at is, you know, how have you treated your current city attorney? So I would ask that we, you know, start that process.
Rebecca, can your office work on finding a date for the 4 of us to have another meeting to begin the process of reviewing Jill's performance?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Not, I appreciate you all taking the time to be here this afternoon, and I think that we have a good plan, a good process in place as we move forward. So thank you all for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.